This is what if I was reincarnated in the My Hero universe with the tricks from Ben 10. As Jack remembers what happened yesterday about those robots, Jack says that those robots look like Vega's robots from the TV show. Jack says maybe Bill Axe is here. What am I going to do? I'm going to have to get prepared for him. As Jack is thinking about this, he gets a knock on his door. Eunice knocks at his door, says, "Can we talk?" Jack says, "Come in," Eunice. Says, "I just want to talk about what happened yesterday." Jack says, "Yeah, I know, I was just thinking about myself," Eunice says, those robots. As Jack is getting ready to say something, Deku says, "Sorry to interrupt, but Jack, you need to come with me." Jack says, "What is Deku? What's this?" Say, "Some people found out what happened yesterday." Check says, "Who found out?" Deku says that All Might found out. Jack says, "Oh no," Deku said, "Come with me. We gotta meet All Might." Jack says, "See you later, Eunice." Eunice said that I'll see you later. As Jack and Deku start walking to the room where All My Max are. All Night says, "You two are finally here." All Mate says, "I know what happened yesterday." Jack says, "How did you know?" All I Might said that some teachers was actually on the scene that day. They saw you, your friends, was also involved. Jack says, "Yes, my friends were involved." All Might says that we're proud of you, but that's not why you're here. You two are here for extra training. All Night says, "Jack, you already know this. Deku, it's supposed to be enough to never simple of peace. He would be the one that will take my place when I'm gone." Jack says, "I know. Why is Jack here?" That's what Deku said. All Night says, "Max here used to work with Jack's father." Jack says, "My father." Jack says, "I thought he was in an accident." Max: "He wasn't. He was on a mission. He used to work with the plumbers." And Jack and Deku says, "The plumbers? You mean you used to work for business?" Max says, "No, the plumber is a secret organization, protect going space mission stuff like that." Jack says, "So what, you're some type of space police or something?" Max says, "Yes, that I'm going to tell you the actual truth of what happened on the day your father actually died." Max starts time. The story to Jack and Deku. Max said it just started like a regular day. We got support of this mission about to happen. So your father, Steve Kirby. Max said, "Steve, I kind of miss." Max says this is guarding the tricks, the most strongest device in the universe. Max and Steve get on the spaceship, start meeting up with S. Smith. Max and Steve said this is the most powerful device in the universe, huh? I want you to guard, get it to a safe location in the stars. As the Smith terrible. Max and Steve about what happens if fuel gas. Ask S. Smith. He says if he gets his hand on the end of the world. Steve says he won't get his hand on it. Steve says, "Next, let's get this most powerful out of here." Max and Steve kill the ship. They're almost there, but as they almost get there to their destination, Phil kicks, flies, and the ship gets in the ship. By flying as close as he can to the ship, he gets inside, but the airlock says he is almost here. He reaches in the airlock. Steve says, "Max, you have to hit the safe." Phil says, "You're too late, already here." Steve and Max gets ready to get into a fighting stand. Fights a Vic, get ready to fight. Steve stay trust and knock him down. Phil pushes him into the tricks. Tricks connects to his. It has a flash scanning his DNA. Steve blasts his VA with a blaster. But it's not enough. It's multiple times, breaking his bones, having multiple injuries. His wounds are so bad. Max is getting ready to send him on the tricks away from here to Earth. But before he does that, he grabs a laser and cheats your gas, blowing up Bill Garrick's. Max holds Steve. Steve says, "Make sure my family's okay. Make sure my son's okay." Max says, "I will make sure they're okay. I promise." Steve says, "Get off the ship." Says, Go now." Max says, "I'm not leaving without you." Steve says, "My old friend, not without you." Steve says, "I'm already gone. I can't be saved, but you can save the world. Make sure the tricks doesn't leave in wrong hands." As Max is remembering the story, Max says, "I'm done telling the story about it." Jack says, "I wasn't told about this. I wasn't my mom told about this." "Why wasn't I told about this?" Max says, "You're too young to. My father gave his life to and saved the world. We should have been told about this. I don't know." Max says he only tricks had your father's DNA in it. That's why you can use it. So even if Phil gets his hands on it, he can't use it. Jack says, "What is the same type of safeguard?" "Yes. I'm here to teach you about more of your powers." Deku says, "Are you okay, Jack?" Jack says, "I don't know. I just found out how my father actually died. I don't know how to feel. And now is Phil Alex person after me." Max says, "I'm here to train you." I'm here to help you master your powers becoming soon, Jack. Says how soon enough that attack happened yesterday. That was a warning your friends you are lucky. That's what Max says. So what do you want to do? Max says I wanted to train your trainer. That's inside your own tricks, I know. Max says this won't be easy. I'll push you to your limit, but you'll be twice as strong as your dad. Jack says okay, how we get started? Max said we will start with laser practice. Max says, Eyes, I think you should turn into Diamond Head, shoot targets, Jack. Says, shoot the targets, really, this is it. This is the first test. Deku says, all night, what will I be doing all night? Says, I called you here to also train. All Mike says, what is your limit right now with one for all? Deku says, 8% is my limit. All Mike says, if you use the technique full count. You might be able to use it better, Deku. What is that all night? Says that's a technique that spreads the energy around your body, so it doesn't focus on one part. Because when I was looking at the footage, so far you've been focusing on one part of your body. There's spread energy around. That's why I'm going to send you to this old friend that used to teach me how to use my powers. Deca, who is this guy? All Might says his name is Gran Torino. I might says he lives here. Here's his address. Well, Deku is getting a location to Gran Torino PL. Jack is training, seating all the targets. Jack is saying, when are you going to make this more challenging? Max says, okay, you want it challenging or make it more chat? Max clicks a button. Turn them into attacking robots. Jack says to himself, finally, this is more challenging. As he's Diamond Head right now, start shooting diamond ejectiles, making giant diamonds jump in the air, and it shoots out a whole bunch as the robots blow up. Max says, you're very impressive. By the time that you've been having that watch around your wrist, you learned how to use some of it. Jack says, I kinda had to. It's kind of the reason why I got into the school. Max says, you didn't just get into the school by relying on the new tricks. You got in by using your brain, being very smart, and stuff like that. Jack says, sometimes the only tricks doesn't want to give me what I want. Sometimes it is going to have to use what I have and give it to them, and very lucky so far. Max says, look out for you, came even if the trick doesn't work like you wanted, saving so many people. Your father would be proud of you. Jack says, what's the next test? Let's see how you do against Blast. I want you to blast all the targets at once. Jack hits the tricks and switches to Heat Blast using his Stream Heat, a fire tornado. To get rid of all the robots is going to be using fighting against robots all the time. Max says this is a test. Some of your aliens will be dangerous, telling me you haven't hit the limit of how many transformations you can use. All of them are dangerous in their own. Right? If you're not careful, you can hurt someone. I know. Max says we have to worry your limits and how strong you are right now in the nearby future. Max says you could be one of the strongest hero in the universe. Jack says the universe. Really? Max says really you are a preach between two worlds, the aliens and the humans. One day you can represent both. You could be a bridge. Jack remembers Ben 10 from the TV show. He remembers that Ben represented a lot. Jack has himself. Can I represent that much? Could I be that much? Let me just focus on Phil. First I have to be there because I remember the first big villain that faces his stain. I have to be there. Cause Todoroki and Deku and Ida. Jack says I have to be there. Do I have to be there? They pretty much win. I'll be there on standby. Just in case. Max says, are you okay or are you here? Check says, I am here. No, well, Jack is on his training that goes to Gran Torino. Deca knocks on the door of Gran Torino. Prince Torino says, why are you here? Deku, I was sent by All Might learn about the technique for counting. Gran Torino says, so you're supposed to be the one that takes his place, huh? I don't see that much. Show me why he picked you. Deku, he says, let me show you. Gran Torino gets ready in the final stance. Deku gets ready, activating one for all in green electricity between his body. Deku 8%. Gran Torino says you still have a master that technique you need to spread it all around your body. Deku says, how do I do that? How do I use it around my body? Gran Torino says, think of one for all as a microwave. Think of you as the microwave and the different percentages. So just thinking of this like you had one for all this to one body part. Think of all the body parts that you spread it to. Deku trusts to use one for all, but this time he tries to spread all the energy around his body. He tries so hard, the red veins being solved. Gran Torino uses his power and jumps and hits deck. Gran Torino says, "You think your opponents are just going to wait for you to power up? You're going to have to use this in a fight." Gran Torino jump around and spring. Gran Torino hit him again. Deku, he thinks, what I do? Gran Torino is like a spring he's browning. He's bouncing all around. I need to get behind cover. Deku hides under a chair. Gran Torino says, "Not a bad technique, but I know where you are." Deku pushes up the table, and Activate One for All tries to grab him. Gran Torino. It's him, and knock him out of One for All. Deku, I didn't scratch. Gran Torino says that he just reminds me he might have a chance back into UA High School. Jack is trying all his transformations like Atomic Neck. Says that's a very powerful. That's what Max says. Max says, "I want to take you on a plumber mission." Max, you need experience. Jack says, "A plumber mission? I thought you didn't get many of those." "No, we still do. I'll even show you around the plumber base." Deku called Jack, says, "How is training?" Jack says, "Training is not bad. I was training with you." Deku says, "It's hard, but I think I'm getting a hang of it." Jack says, "That's good. Maybe our training is done. We'll show you or show each other how strong gone." Jack takes a ride with Max to plumber space. So Jack says, "This is your truck, huh?" "RV, this is really a RV. Does this have all the bells and whistles?" Max says, "A lot of things happened in this band. I remember some missions with your father. Actually gone in this." Max said, "Be there soon. Have the plumber space. That's the end of this part. Don't forget to come, and I can subscribe."